Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Mixed Martial Arts channel. We are here today for a prediction video for UFC London. Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. This is going to be a good one. It's a very stacked card. Lots of fun stuff on the main card and on the prelims, so be prepared for some pretty decent predictions later on in the video. However, as I say with every single prediction and breakdown video, I will be very knowledgeable and intelligible about the top fights, but the closer we get to the bottom, especially the last couple prelims of the night, take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to give a prediction, I'm going to give my best attempt at a prediction, I'm going to use the best of my knowledge to make that prediction. However, if I don't know some guys because they've just come off the Contender Series, or they're making their UFC debut, or they're 0-2 in the promotion, don't get mad at me, okay? I will still know of them, I'm sure. There's not many names I don't recognize here, but that may happen every now and then. So take it with a grain of salt as we get close to the bottom of the card, but the stuff at the top, I'm very excited to get on with, so let's just get straight into it. We'll start with Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady in the main event. Alright guys, so if you're looking for any particular fight, you'll be able to find them on the chapters below. So if you're looking for any kind of particular prediction, feel free to skip onto it. But we're going to get started with Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Now, I'm going to be picking Leon Edwards. If this was a full camp Sean Brady, I would entertain the idea of picking him. I would, because I think Leon is incredibly overrated. He's good as fuck, don't get me wrong, he's good as fuck, but he is very overrated for how good he is. He was ranked, I don't know if he was number 1 when he beat Usman, but Usman was pound for pound number 1, so I feel like they put Leon at number 1. If they didn't, sure, but just like last year, he was number 3. He does not deserve to be that high at all. If you watch the Colby fight, you understand he does not deserve to be that high at all, okay? He is coming off of a loss, his first loss in a long time. Like 10 years, I think, maybe even more than that, to Belal Muhammad by a unanimous decision. However, he didn't get beat up that badly. It was more of just a war of attrition, and he just didn't have the tools to beat Belal across a 5-rounder, which is pretty much the way that all Belal's opponents lose. The interesting comparison between the two of these guys, or juxtaposition if you want to use that word, is they both have only lost to Sean Brady. They've both only lost to Belal Muhammad in the last 10 years. So it was 2015. It was December of 2015 when Leon lost to Kamaru Usman. That was his last loss. And then he lost in July of this year. So he went 9 years undefeated besides Belal. Sean Brady, besides Belal, is undefeated. His only loss is to Belal. So it's an interesting matchup, even though this isn't what got made originally. It was meant to be JDM versus Leon, which would have been a fucking great fight, but my boy's getting a title shot, so I'm not mad. It's an interesting little connection of storylines, you know, both Belal's sons, if you will. Other people would also be in that pool, I guess, if you want to put them there, but some people just lost to Belal, okay? Sean Brady is Belal's one finish, okay? He's got others early in his career, but it's his one high-level finish. So that's a bit of a yikes on his record, but it is what it is. It's still fine. And Leon is the guy that he got the title from. So essentially, these guys have the two, I don't want to say most embarrassing, that's a little bit disrespectful, but the most, like, substantial wins of Belal's recent career, I'd say, were Sean Brady because he got a finish, and Leon because he got the title off of him, and he's like the highest ranked guy that he's ever beaten. Now, in terms of who's going to win, enough about the actual antics of the story and everything. I would love to pick Sean Brady here, and I feel like he does have the tools to do well against Leon. He's got very good wrestling and grappling in general. Leon's got great takedown defense, really good Usman could not get him down in that third fight at all. Now, obviously, wobblestone, cobblestone knees, Usman, we all know that his knees are failing him at this point, so we have only seen him in that fight and Chimaev, so we don't really know if Usman still can get takedowns. We don't. Like, we need to see Usman against a fucking Prates or against someone else in the division, or, like, you know, give Usman to, like, Ian Gary or something like that, you know, so that we can see if Usman is still capable of getting takedowns. But we don't have that to compare. So just going off of what we have, Usman couldn't take Leon down in his last fight with him. Sean Brady will rely very heavily on the takedowns. He is good in the striking and he's gotten better, but that's not going to be his main path to victory, because Leon is a much better striker, and Leon will pull an Adesanya. It's not really an Adesanya, it's a bit of a both of them. You could call it a Leon, you could call it an Adesanya, but they both do it. They're willing to stare at you. They're willing to just stand there and stare at you and just wait for you to make the move. They'll be active still. They're still popping jabs at you. They'll still throw leg kicks, but they won't engage heavy. They won't throw heavy, and they're going to try and bait you into throwing something heavy so they can counter you. Now, this is obviously... You could say, oh, well, that's just how counter-strikers fight, Charlie. You're an idiot. No. Counter-strikers fight like an O'Malley. Or maybe like a Sandhagen. Or who else could you call a counter-striker? Maybe in the higher weight classes. I would say someone like even a Prates. Even a Carlos Prates at times can be a bit of a counter-striker. But not so much. But these two, Leon and Adesanya, are on the very extreme side of being counter-strikers, to the point where they let it affect their fight style. It's not just, this is what I'm good at and I will use it on you in the fight. They tend to lean on it and really rely on the fact that at some point you're going to get sick of waiting and engage with me, and I'm going to have the chance to counter-strike you. It's a bit of a pussy way to fight. I don't love it, but it works. People do it. It is what it is. I'm not going to praise it though, because it is shit and it's annoying to watch. It's bad to encourage in the sport. Much like stalling on the cage is bad to encourage, so is really overdone counter-striking, where you're just waiting, doing nothing. You know, I'd say MVP is a huge example of this. I should have said that earlier. I love MVP. His striking is beautiful, but God, you fight like a bitch, dude. You fight like a bitch because you won't engage until you can jump in, throw one shot, and then leave. And if that's not what you're doing, you're just sitting there waiting for them to engage with you so you can counter them. It works, so it is what it is. But I won't act like I love it, and I'm not going to praise it. I think that, look, Brady, if he had the full camp, I would be considering this was his chance to show off his wrestling skills, you know, and actually get Leon down, show that he can do it. Because he doesn't have that full camp, I feel like whatever issues he would have faced with a full camp, they're going to be accentuated now. So if he would have struggled to get Leon down but maybe been successful, now he's going to really struggle to take Leon down and possibly be successful. If he was going to maybe survive with Leon on the feet, not be able to best Leon on the feet, but keep up with him on the feet enough to keep the takedowns available to him and threaten the takedowns to make Leon worse on the feet because he's focusing on the takedown so much, he's probably not going to be able to do that, because now he's just going to be trying to survive on the feet and hope that the takedowns remain an option rather than actually attempting to implement a game plan that's going to make them an option. I just think that everything about this being short notice hurts Brady, especially with Leon still having the full camp. Leon was preparing for a striker. That is something to note. But we're not talking about a guy that has mid takedown defense where he needs to be drilling that in camp to be prepared. Leon has just good takedown defense by default, so he's going to be able to use it regardless. So I'm just going to have to go ahead and say I do think Leon's going to win. I don't think he finishes Brady, because I think that Brady has the takedowns and the grappling in his back pocket, ready to just whip it out at any point if he needs to survive or to maybe to stall. You know, maybe to stall. If you watch the Kelvin Gastelum fight, it wasn't bad, but he spent a lot of time just fucking weight holding. I don't know what you call it, but using his weight to just smother Gastelum and not let him get up at all. So if he can use that as a last-ditch advantage, as a last-ditch effort against Leon Edwards, it might work to get him around back or to let him regain some energy or something like that, and he might even end up accidentally being in dominant position over Leon if Leon's IQ is too stupid, because Leon has bad fight IQ at times. You know, he's got all the good weapons, but he doesn't use them very well a lot of the time. We saw that in the Bilal fight. There's many opportunities where Leon had the chance to really push the pace against Bilal. Especially in that 5th round. It's the end of the fight at that point. And you're not willing to just get aggressive as fuck. It took the last 30 seconds for him to be like raining down elbows on Belal, and even then, he hurt Belal bad, and then just sat on him. Like at that point, stand up. Make the ref stand up and just hope that you can fucking swarm him in 15 seconds and knock him out on the feet. Didn't even try that. So, we'll see how the fight IQ of Leon Edwards holds up. I think that's going to be his biggest detriment, if there's going to be any detriment. But I'm going to pick Leon Edwards here to win. Like I said, I think that Gilbert Burns, sorry, I'm looking at names on the records. I think Sean Brady will be able to survive. I don't know if he'll get finished. He could. If he does, I would say it's probably going to be later rounds. Maybe 4-5, but I'd say probably 3-4. Because if Leon does get a finish, I'm going to bet it's because he catches Brady with something that hurts him. Maybe he busts his nose, or he lands a really bad knee to the body that hurts his ribs or something like that kind of compromises Brady. And if that's the case, he might be easier to finish then. But if he doesn't do that, I predict it's going to be a decision anyway, but I'm saying that's how the finish would come. But my main prediction is going to be Leon gets this done by decision. I'm going to say Brady probably gets at least a round, but I reckon he'll get 2. I reckon it's going to be a decently competitive match, but the rounds that Leon wins will probably be somewhat clear. I don't think it's going to be a close fight, but scoring-wise, it'll probably end up being like 3-2 Leon. So that's what I reckon is going to happen. All right, moving down to the co-main event. So we have Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg. Now, this is an interesting fight because this is a bit of a new guard versus old guard kind of fight. Jan is 42. Carlos is 34. Okay, they're both 6'4", I believe. Oh, Jan's only 6'2". He's got 78 inches of reach. He's got more though. So Blachowicz is 2 inches shorter, but he has an extra inch in reach. So that's pretty good for him. He's a big dude, man. Blachowicz is a big guy. Ulberg isn't small at all. Don't get me wrong. And he's 6'4". He's literally taller than him, but he's thinner because he's taller. Obviously, he's got a much more like athletic build, I guess you'd say. Whereas Jan's kind of just got a bit more of that Eastern European dad kind of build to him. Not that he's fat, but he's just got that like man strength from that part of the world, you know what I mean? In terms of my prediction, I'm gonna say this one thing. I might get hate for this. I don't know if I will. I actually haven't really spoken to anyone about this opinion, but I had it the moment the fight happened. I thought Volkan Ozdemir beat Carlos Ulberg. I didn't think he won that fight. I scored it, I believe it was a 3-rounder, right? And I scored it 2-1 to Ozdemir. I don't remember which round, it was a while ago. This was 5 months ago, we're talking at this point. But I did think Ozdemir won that fight. Now, it wasn't a whitewash per se. It was close, and I can kind of see. I remember being like, I kind of get what round. Like, there was obviously a round that was close, and because of that, you go, maybe. I see where they've come from, but that doesn't mean I agree. That doesn't mean that upon being shown what you think, in hindsight, I've changed my mind. I haven't. I still think the same thing. I still think Ozdemir won that fight. And if you're losing to Ozdemir, I think you lose to Blachowicz. So, pretty much this fight entirely rests on the fact of, rather than shitting on Ulberg, because I don't have much bad to say about Ulberg. He's very good at what he does. He's not got anything that he's insane at, but he's just pretty good at everything. I don't know about his grappling being all that good. He's literally got 1 submission in his career, and it was a rear naked choke. Right at the end of the round against Darwin Jung. But look, he's got round 1 knockouts, a lot of them in the UFC. He's got Contender Series round 1 knockout, lost to Canadian Nuzachukwu by knockout, and then decision, round 1 knockout, round 1 knockout, round 1 knockout, round 3 choke, round 1 knockout. He's got a lot of them, and then he gets a decision over Ozdemir. Now that he's fighting this high-level talent, I don't think he's going to be getting many finishes. And if he is, I don't think they're going to be early like that. I think it'll be more late on. Jan is going to win this fight, in my opinion, because he's just more experienced, hits harder and heavier, and he's probably got better grappling than Ulberg too. Not probably, he definitely has better grappling than Ulberg as well. So I see Jan having the weapons to drag this fight to wherever he wants it to be, whereas Ulberg is probably going to have to stay in the realm of the striking if he wants to beat him, and he's going to probably have to try and put Jan out early. Like I said, I don't think that's going to happen. I think if he does get a finish, he would have to work on Jan for a couple rounds and get him out in round 2 or 3. But I think the longer this fight goes on, the more it favors Jan, because the more he's going to wear on Ulberg. And Jan takes damage really well, dude. Jan eats damage, bro. We're talking about the guy that took Alex Pereira to a split fucking decision, cunt. And that was his last fight. He took Ankalaev to a draw. You know? Like, he's only lost to Glover and Pereira in the last 6 years since the Thiago Santos fight. I just find Jan to be very durable. The only thing, now this is where I'm going to get into the real nitty-gritty of what's going to dictate my prediction. The only thing that has me questioning, oh my god, by the way, Jan Blachowicz is 16-2 in KSW. Wow, what a fucking record he had in that promotion. Jesus, my apologies. My only gripe is that Jan is old, but that's not, I'm not saying just because he's old, because we all know he's old, and he's been old for time, to be honest. He was old in the Pereira fight. He was old in the Ankalaev fight. Even when he fought Glover 3 years ago, Glover was old, but so was he. He was 38, 39 at that point. Glover was probably, I want to say 41 maybe by then. I just worry about age because of injury. Because we know that Jan's coming back off shoulder surgeries. I believe that's why he didn't fight Rakic, if I'm not wrong. Yep, that's why he pulled out of that fight with Rakic, and that was over a year ago at this point. So he hasn't fought in nearly 2 years. He fought Pereira in July of 2023. It's been, 22 months since... 20 months. It's been 20 months since then. A year and 8 months. That's a long time to be out, especially when you're now 42. He last fought when he was 40. So that's pretty worrying. Or maybe he was 41 at that point, but still. Oh no, he would have been 40. Yeah. Damn, bro. Damn, dog. Damn, yeah. So he's getting old. And that's where I draw my worry from. And that's where I begin to question myself. But, fret not, because I'm still picking him. I just think he's more durable. I don't know that he necessarily hits harder, but he hits at least pretty much as hard as Blachowicz, as Ulberg does. But he's got the better grappling, and he's got such good durability, man. I don't see him getting knocked out, that's for sure. Like, even though I said that if Ulberg was to get a knockout, it'd be later on, I'm saying if. It's really if. Like, I do not see Jan getting finished. It hasn't happened since Thiago Santos beat him back in 2019, and even that's like, you know what I mean? Has he ever been finished other than that? He's been submitted twice and KO'd twice. He's had 40 professional fights. I'm picking Jan Blachowicz, man. I don't think he's going to finish Ulberg. He could. And if he does, I say it's by submission. He gets him down and submits him. But I'm going to go ahead and say that Blachowicz wins this. I think Ulberg probably wins the first round, maybe. But I bet Jan... Sorry, there's a fucking fly in my room. It's a little fucking midgy fly. I think Jan wins 29-28, rounds 2 and 3 over him. Blachowicz, Ulberg might get round 1. If he doesn't, I do think that Jan will win 3-0. I don't see Ulberg getting a late round. I feel like if Ulberg's going to get a round, it's going to be early. Only way that Ulberg can get a late round is if he really hurts Jan, and then Jan goes on the defense for the rest of the round. But in terms of just outclassing that Jan, I don't see that happening. I don't. I'll be shocked, and I'll be impressed if that happens, to be completely honest with you, but I don't see that happening. So I'm going to go with Jan Blachowicz by unanimous decision, 29-28. Okay, we got 45-70 versus the Icelandic Viking, Kevin Holland versus Gunnar Nelson. So, I think Kevin Holland is soy. I said it. I said it about Jalen Turner in his last fight with Ignacio Bahamondes. I'm now going to say it about Kevin Holland. Dude, listen to me. You got choked out by Chimaev. You tapped out against Wonderboy. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just reading out the stats. Then you beat Ponzinibbio. Then you beat Chiesa. Then you get JDM. Wow, what a step up. Split decision, but it should have been unanimous. Loses in a straight up boxing fight to him. He didn't need to wrestle or use his kicks much to beat Holland. He just boxed him. Impressive. Loses to MVP. Not that bad of a one, to be fair. Beats Michael Olajaychek. Sure. Who cares? Loses to Roman Dolidze. It was an injury, but still, you made it to the end of the round and still didn't fight. Sucky. You shouldn't have been in that division anyway. Raine DeRitter. Round 1 choke. You just gave up. You just gave up. He's back at welterweight now. So let me say, this was my biggest gripe. As soon as he went up and fought Olajaychuk and Dolidze and stuff, I'm saying, dude, you don't belong in this division. I don't know that you ever have belonged in this division. Obviously, when he was fighting a lot on short notice and stuff like that back in COVID, kind of made more sense to be, in 2 divisions and shit like that. But now, dude, he's destroyed his opportunity to ever get into the title picture because he's left the division he was ranked in. He was ranked like 11 or 12 in welterweight after beating Michael Chiesa, and then he loses to JDM and MVP. He's still ranked in the division at that point, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. And then he goes up, and even if he wasn't, he could have had one more fight and been pushed back into the rankings because he's a big name and he only lost to JDM and MVP after having 2 wins in a row. Then he beats Olajaychuk. Not a good win. Sure, you beat him in round 1 with an armbar, I'll give you that, but not a good win. You got knocked down, almost knocked out by him badly immediately as the fight started. Dolidze, upper weight class again, and Ronnie DeRita, upper weight class again. You just don't belong there, man. You're too small for this division. You are middleweight height, but you are not middleweight size. You are middleweight reach, but you are not middleweight size. I've said that same sequence of sentences over and over again when talking about Kevin Holland, because it's just fucking true. You're a welterweight, dude. You're a tall welterweight, but you're a welterweight. You're Ian Gary's size. Why would you... imagine if Ian Gary moved up to middleweight. He'd get fucking smoked, dude. It's just not... It's dumb as fuck for you to think that you can continue to fight in this division. He's back at welterweight. He's against Gunnar Nelson, who hasn't fought since 2023. Gunnar Nelson is coming off 2 wins. He beat Takashi Sato and Brian Barberena. He did lose before that to Ponzinibbio, Leon Edwards, and Gilbert Burns, but he lost to Ponzinibbio in 2017, and that's probably when Ponzinibbio was on a streak, right? Let's have a look. He beat Ponzinibbio was on a 1, 2, 3, 4 fight win streak, and then he beat Nelson to make it 5, and then he beat Mike Perry and Neil Magny after that, and then he only lost to the Leech, and then he goes on a big losing streak. Ponzinibbio is now lost a lot of fights since then, but still, that's not a bad loss for Gunnar Nelson to have it all at that point in time. Before that, Damian Maia, and before that, Ricky Story. He's only lost to big names, man, and his last 2 losses are Leon by split decision and Gilbert Burns by unanimous decision, both in 3-round fights too. So, and that was at a catchweight with oh no, wait, sorry. Did I just make that up? I thought I just saw the words catchweight. I'm making shit up, never mind. But he hasn't fought in 2 years. He's back now, though. Holland is a very, very winnable fight for Gunnar Nelson. He just needs to get him down, and he wins. So, Holland, if you really want to stay in this sport, prove to us that you can either A, stop a grappler from getting you down, or B, grapple with a grappler. This guy's 36, man. Gunnar Nelson is 36. He's 5'11", with 72 inches of reach. You've got 9 inches more reach than him, and you're 4 inches taller than him. And you're like 3 years younger than him. How old is Kevin Holland? 32. Nelson is 4 years younger than him. You in every metric imaginable, you should be able to beat Gunnar Nelson. But styles make fights. So if you don't beat Gunnar Nelson, get the fuck out of the UFC at this point. Otherwise, you're going to be here so long that your record's going to be fucking 45 and 70. And I ain't trying to stick around and see that happen, dog. Not because I would be sad to watch it, because I just don't give a fuck. And look, Gunnar Nelson has only ever lost by decision. Besides that one loss to Ponzinibbio. That's the one knockout he's had. Other than that, he's only lost by decision. So, I'll be surprised if Kevin Holland can knock him out. If he can, good job. But I'll be surprised. So, I'm going to pick Gunnar Nelson here. I'm going to say Gunnar Nelson. Look, I think it's just written in the stars at this point. Kevin Holland is going to lose by round 1 submission again. Again, bro. In his last 4 fights, 5 fights, he's got a decision loss, a submission win, then he got a rib injury by getting fucking wrestle-fucked by Dolidze, and then he got choked out by Ronnie DeRita. Those both happened in the first round. And he got Darth tricked by Chimaev in the first round as well. Obviously, it's Chimaev, I know, but still, it was in the first round, is my point. He loses by first round finish when he's fighting grapplers. Other than that, Chiesa, he could have beat, but Chiesa could have beat him, but because he's a grappler, but he lost by getting submitted. So, fair play to Holland. He locked in that Darth choke when Chiesa dove in for a takedown from memory. And then after that, we're getting back to being over 3 years ago in the activity period of Kevin Holland during COVID. I just think Gunnar Nelson chokes him out in the first round. So I'm going to look. Gunnar Nelson's got guillotine, rear naked, guillotine, rear naked, rear naked, guillotine, rear naked. I'm going to say rear naked. I don't think he gets a guillotine on Kevin Holland, because Holland isn't going to be shooting in on him or anything like that. But I can 100% see Gunnar Nelson just being too sound in the grappling for Holland to get out of a sequence that he gets stuck in, and then Holland just gets his back taken and maybe fights it for like 10 seconds, tries to put up like a thumbs up to say, no, I'm good, and then gets choked out. And he taps as well. He doesn't go to sleep. He taps, because Kevin Holland will tap because he's a bitch. He doesn't go to sleep. He taps. I think. I'm really sorry if I'm wrong about that. That's possible. But I swear to God, I don't know if I've seen him tap. Maybe I don't know if I've seen him go to sleep. He didn't with Chimaev. I swear to God he didn't with Rainier de Ritter. I could be wrong, but I swear to God he tapped against Rainier de Ritter. That's me, man. I'm picking Gunnar Nelson by round 1 submission. Alright, below that we have Molly McCann versus Alexia Thainara. Now, this girl fought on the Contender Series recently, and she's making her UFC debut. Molly McCann is no easy customer for your first fight, but I'm going to go ahead and say this girl is primarily a striker from what I know. No, she's got submission wins. She's got submission wins on her record. Oh, that's good. Because I was going to say she's a striker, so Molly's not been knocked out before. But she's been submitted a lot. Yeah, she gonna submit her. Look, Molly McCann, she got that spinning back elbow knockout, and then another spinning elbow knockout back to back. That was pretty fucking sick from her. Then she gets Kimura'd by Blanchfield. Then she gets armbarred by Stolyarenko. And then she loses a decision to Bruna Brazil. She did get an armbar herself over Diana Delbita. Sure, but I mean, I'm just seeing on Molly McCann's record, decision, you got submitted, decision, you lost 2 decisions, decision, you got to finish, you got to finish, and you lost a decision. So, if we go to Alexia Thainara, is it Thainara? Is how you say her name, I think? Yeah. She's 11-1. Her only loss is to Bruna Brazil. You know, ironically, the girl that just beat Molly McCann. That's her only loss. She lost to Bruna Brazil in the regional scene when she was in her 3rd fight. She was 2-0. She lost to Bruna Brazil when Bruna Brazil was 2-1. But if you know, you know, Bruna Brazil had a rough start to her career and got better afterwards. So she got guillotined by her. She got submitted by her as well. So if she is going to lose to Molly, I do predict Molly to submit her. But after that fight, she gets a decision, rear naked choke, armbar, submission to strikes, armbar, decision, rear naked choke, and then she gets onto the Contender Series and wins a decision. So I'm going to say that she probably gets... Molly could get rear naked choked, but more likely than not, I bet Molly throws herself into an armbar. I bet Molly gets caught trying to... Maybe Molly even is the one who engaged in the grappling sequence. It's possible, but I'm not going to predict that. I'm just putting that out there. But I'm going to say that Alexia Thainara probably ends up getting her down, and Molly tries to be too quick with an escape or a position move or something like that, and just ends up giving up her arm and gets submitted by an armbar. That's going to be my prediction. I'm going to go ahead and say that happens in the 2nd round. Okay, below that, we've got my boy, Jordan Vucenic versus Chris Duncan. Now, I'm excited for this fight. This is going to be a bit of a people's main event kind of thing. It's on the main card, so like it's not really that far down, but still... It's a good fight. Chris Duncan is coming off of another win after... Yeah, so he lost to Manuel Torres recently. He was on a good streak. Came into Contender Series. Knocked out Charlie Campbell after nearly being finished. Really, really close to being finished there. Beats Omar Morales. Beats Yanal Ashmuz. Gets choked out by Manuel Torres. But then he comes back and chokes out Bilal Giocchi. So not bad. Not bad. Jordan Vucenic just came over from Cage Warriors. Okay. He was literally... 13-2. 13-2 in Cage Warriors. His only losses, 1 to Luke Ord. It's his 3rd fight ever, though. And then the other one is to Paul Hughes, who, as we know, is very good in the UFC. And he has a win over Paul Hughes in their first fight. It was a split decision, so it's, you know, debatable, I guess, if you want to say. But he does have a win over Paul Hughes. And he went to a decision with him twice, both times. First fight was a 3 rounder. The second time was for a belt, so it was a 5-rounder. Then he goes, after he loses to Paul Hughes, gets 2 rear naked chokes in the second round, gets a Kimura in the second round, then gets a guillotine in the first round. Then he goes on to lose to Guram Kutateladze by a decision in his debut. But that was short notice from memory, and it was upper weight class. I will say, he is staying at this weight class. Vucenic has chosen to stay at lightweight, which I don't like. To me, man, I think if you can make the weight healthily, why don't you? So unless Vucenic comes out and says, I can't make featherweight anymore, which is mental because he made it less than a year ago, I believe. He fought at featherweight March 30th last year. So a week less than a year ago. 51 weeks ago, he fought at featherweight. And now all of a sudden he can't. That's a bit weird to me. It's, questionable choice. But since that fight, he had one Cage Warriors fight at lightweight, then came to the UFC and fought at lightweight. So maybe he was intending on moving division permanently. That could be the case. But I just always feel like, especially if we're talking the 15-pound divisions, sure, that's fine. I can understand like the weight cuts being questionable there and stuff like that. If you can make the weight cut in these 10-pound divisions, the 35, 45, 55, why don't you? If you can make 45, why would you want to go up to 55 unless you either A, have had trouble in this division and maybe you're like not getting anywhere and you're thinking, I'm going to try my luck upper weight class, put on a bit more muscle and a bit more strength and, not be so harsh in the weight cut, yada, yada, yada. That makes sense. That happens all the time. Like, Charles Oliveira, Chase Hooper, a lot of people have done the featherweight to lightweight move, gained some size and stuff like that after having a questionable career down there. But when you haven't had a questionable career down there, when, if anything, you've been fucking phenomenal in the weight class in the regional scene, it's really, really weird that you want to go to the next weight class up. But it is what it is. He's there now, so we'll find out if maybe there's a good reason for it. Maybe he'll move eventually, but I doubt it. I'm going to say he's probably going to be there permanently. So Chris Duncan, he's got only 2 losses in his career were to Vyacheslav Borshev in the Contender Series, which is not a horrible loss. It's by knockout, but Vyacheslav is a decent striker. And then to Manuel Torres by rear naked choke. I'm going to say that Vucenic gets a rear naked choke here. He could get a knockout on Chris Duncan. Duncan doesn't have the greatest chin from what I know. It's not bad, but I mean, he's been hurt pretty badly in like the Charlie Campbell fight from memory, and then he got knocked out by Vyacheslav Borshev, obviously. Vucenic has got a solid chin. He went not life and death. Like, he went a full fight decision of good battling with Guram Kutateladze, who is no joke. So I'm going to say that I think that Vucenic is probably just going to get Chris Duncan down and submit him. That's going to be my main prediction. I could see him getting a TKO over him, not a KO, but a TKO. He's 5'10" with 73 inches of reach. That's not bad. He's 70 inches tall with 73 inch reach. And Chris Duncan is 5'10" with 71.5. So he's only got 1.5 inch positive reach, whereas Vucenic just got 3. Yeah, I'm going to pick Vucenic here, man. I'm going to say Vucenic gets it done by a rear naked choke in round... I'll give Chris Duncan the benefit of the doubt that he makes it to either the second or third round, but I'm going to say round 2. Okay, next up we have Nathaniel Wood versus Morgan Charriere. This is a nice matchup. I like this fight. 2 very up-and-coming featherweight prospects in the UFC. Now, my pick for this one, these guys are also both, from what I know, Cage Warriors alumni, right? He's fought in Cage Warriors before. Nathaniel Wood, but not much. Oh yeah, he has. Sorry, he has. I apologize. Yeah. He's fought in Cage Warriors. He was a champion in Cage Warriors. Yeah, I was right. And Morgan Charriere, as I just mentioned before, is from Cage Warriors, his previous champion as well. And he fought the likes of Paul Hughes and Jordan Vucenic both. So he's got some great experience in that promotion. Nathaniel Wood is... I like him. I do. He is kind of small for the weight class he's in. He used to fight at bantamweight, but he did have to make a very substantial weight cut to get there. So he looks a lot healthier at this weight class. You may have seen the videos before on Instagram or something like that of like the comparison of the 2 weight cuts of him and like him and at 135 and then him at 145. He looked so drained at 135. He could make it, but he looked so drained. He looks much more full and like healthy now. But he's 5'6". He's got a 69-inch reach. Okay, so that is okay. He's got 3-inch positive reach. Yeah, 3. Oh, maybe that's 2. No, that's 3-inch positive. Yeah. Charriere is 5'8", so he's 2 inches taller than him, and he's got the same reach. So Charriere's reach is kind of meh compared to Nathaniel Woods. Charriere's only got 1 inch positive. I am just going to have to pick Charriere, man. Nathaniel Woods, good. He's got solid grappling. He's got decent striking too. He's got a lot of submissions on his record, a lot of knockouts on his record. Since he got to the UFC, he's gone submission, loss, decision, loss. Knockout, loss, decision, win, decision, loss. Decision, all wins. Decision, loss, decision, win. He hasn't got a finish in a long time. But when he did, they were submissions. I'll give him that. So if he is going to beat Charriere, it will be by submission. I don't think he makes it to a decision with Charriere. But I'm going to say Charriere knocks Nathaniel Wood the fuck out, man. This guy is just insane, dude. So he went to a split decision with Shep Mariscal, which I thought was a bullshit decision. I think Morgan Charriere won that fight. So to me, Charriere came in, knocked out Manolo Zecchini in his debut in the first round, beat Shepe Mariscal by a decision, which is an insane feat because Mariscal is fucking incredibly talented. And I think Mariscal also has a lot of really good experience in the regional scenes, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, dude. My God. In the regional scenes, Shep Mariscal for Gregor Gillespie, Bryce Mitchell, Pat Sabatini, Yusuf Zalal, Joe Anderson Brito, Steve Garcia, and that's it. But all those names in the regionals, all those guys are in the UFC now. Steve Garcia's in the UFC now. Brito's in the UFC now. Yusuf Zalal's in the UFC now. Pat Sabatini's in the UFC now. Bryce Mitchell's in the UFC now. I think Gregor Gillespie was in the UFC at one point. I don't know that he still is. He might be. No, I think he retired. Yeah. Oh, he's pretty old now, isn't he? Yeah, I think he retired. But he was in the UFC. He was 7-1 in the UFC. He only lost to Kevin Lee. People forget, man. Where does Kevin Lee fit into all this, man? Sorry. But I think Morgan's really underrated, man. Not hugely underrated because he's got crazy finishes and stuff. He looks great when he fights. He badly knocked out Gabriel Miranda in his last fight. His record is what would make him underrated, is basically what else. His record is 20-10. Like, it's a weird looking record, but when you take into account that he was 2-3 at one point. Oh, he was 2-3 at one point in his career, and then he got up to being 11-5, and then he goes on to being 12-7 by then. He gets to being 15-7, but then he's 15-9 after those two losses to Vucenic and Paul Hughes. And then he loses to Mariscal, which gives him a 10 on his record. So arguably he is 21-9, which is a much better looking record, but still, it's a reasonable take to question him because of his record. He's got a lot of losses. But he's only ever been submitted once. All of his other losses are by decision. And 2 of them are by... Vucenic was by split decision. Paul Hughes was by majority decision. And Shep Mariscal was by split decision. Soren Bak, majority decision. He's got a draw. That was a split. He's lost to Ruslan Kuzamarov. That was a majority. He's got 2 of them are unanimous decisions, okay? 2 of them, or 4 of them are, sorry, but I can't see them all. And 5 split/majority decisions, and then 1 submission. That's it. So the dude is very, very solid, man. I think that Charriere is going to make a boom in the UFC, and I think Nathaniel Wood is going to be a stepping stone for that, unfortunately. I've got a lot of faith for the future of Nathaniel Wood. This would be a great win for him to get. This would be a huge fucking jump up in performances if Nathaniel Wood manages to get Morgan Charriere even by a decision. That would be really solid. But I'm going to say that Charriere knocks Nathaniel Wood out, to be honest. And I'm going to say he does it in... I want to say round 2, but something's telling me round 3. So I'm going to go round 3 knockout for Morgan Charriere. Alright, below that, this is what I'm going to say. The rest of the card, I know majority of the fighters, but give me some slack. Some of these are going to be very fast-paced. I'm not going to do a lot of breaking down of these predictions, but I will give predictions, and I will base it off what I know and their records, but there will be some names I'm less experienced with, such as Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla is fighting Jai Herbert. Now, This one's pretty cut and dry for me. It might be because of my lack of knowledge about Chris Padilla. I only really know him from his last win, which was over, I forget, it was a big guy, wasn't it? He beat a big dude. Oh, no, it was Zhu Rongzhu. He got a doctor stoppage over him. Yeah. And he beat James Lontop as well. To be honest, man, it's Zhu Rongzhu is really old as well, wasn't it? That was a bit of an Unk versus Unk fight, right? No, Zhu Rongzhu is 25. Sorry, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. I'm not knowledgeable in this guy, so I apologize. He beat James Lontop and Zhu Rongzhu. Not the best wins. Like, oh, sure, they're okay, but they're not the best wins. James Lontop was by a finish, but it was a submission, because James Lontop cannot be knocked out, as Mauricio Hoofy proved. I'm going to pick Jai Herbert here, man. He is 6'1" in the lightweight division, 77 inches of reach. Okay. And, oh my god. So he's 73 inches tall with 77 inches of reach. That's really, really good. Whereas Chris Padilla is 5'9". He's 4 inches shorter than him. He's got 74 inches of reach, which is really solid for Chris Padilla's height. Chris Padilla is 69 inches tall with 5 inches positive reach, making it 74 inches. That's really good. But Jai Herbert's got 73 inches tall and he's 74. He's got 4 inch positive and he's got 4 inches of height on you. That's kind of mental. You know, it is still a 3 inch reach advantage for Jai Herbert and a 4 inch height advantage. Not much else to be said about this. Chris Padilla is 29. He's way younger than I thought he was. Yeah, he's young as fuck. Jai Herbert's 36. So there's that. If you want to base it off that, you could. And I would say that's not a crazy take to have. But I think Jai Herbert's going to get him and he's going to knock him out. Jai Herbert lost to Ferez Zayam by a decision. Before that, he lost to... after that, he beat Rolando Bedoya. Before that, a draw with Ludovic Klein, which is pretty solid. Beats Kyle Nelson, which is a good win. And before that was the Ilia Topuria fight, which he lost. I just think that Jai Herbert's not that bad. He's not great, but he's not that bad. And Chris Padilla is not insanely good from what I've seen. He's good, but he's not insane. He's got a lot of losses on his record. At one point, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He went 3-6 at one point. He went from being 7-0 to being 10-6. And then he gets on a 1, 2, 3 fight win streak, gets into the UFC. Those wins are against 7-5, 15-11, and 16-9 though. Not terrible, but not great. And he gets in. He does beat Lontop, who was 14-2, but we know Lontop's not that great. And he beats Zhu Rongzhu, who's 25-5. I'm going to say Jai Herbert knocks him out. I've got a bit of faith that he will last further than the first round, but I reckon second round knockout for Jai Herbert. Okay, moving on. Lonia Kavanagh versus Felipe dos Santos. Oh boy, is this going to be a fucking fun fight, bro. This is going to be a very fun fight. These are big prospects at flyweight. Both of them, if you ask me. Felipe dos Santos is 5'7" with 70 inches of reach. Lonia Kavanagh is 5'4" with 67. So that's something to point out. Yeah, 5'7". Wow, yeah, Felipe's a pretty decently tall flyweight. Not insanely tall, but on the taller side. He's only 24 years old. He's 24. And Lonia Kavanagh's 25. They're both very young. They're both very, very young. Lonia's got good reach for his height, considering he's 64 inches tall. No, I did that all wrong. No, I did that right. He's 64 inches tall, and he's got 67 inch reach. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And Felipe's 67, and he's got... So they've both got 3 inch positive. Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad. They both got the same thing, but Felipe is taller than him and with more reach. They're both about the same age. So Felipe dos Santos comes into the UFC on short notice against Manel Kape, goes to a decision with him. That's fucking insanely impressive. Then he gets a split decision over Victor Altamirano, and then he gets a decision loss to Andrey Lima. Not the worst guy to lose to at all. Andrey Lima is very good, as we've seen. He's very good. Okay. Lonia Kavanagh is solid as fuck, dude. Got a really nasty knockout. Oh, he's undefeated as well. He's 8-0 at this point. Got a really nasty knockout in the first round on the Contender Series. Then he goes to a decision with Jose Ochoa, which I didn't love. I really didn't love the lack of pressure and activity in that fight he had with him, but it wasn't ridiculous, like boring, but it was more just, I was kind of expecting there to be a bit more dominance in the advancement and the aggression and the ability to kind of control the fight from Leonid Kavanagh, especially because I felt like he had a bit more power in his hands. Maybe that knockout in the Contender Series was a bit deceiving, but we'll see in this fight with Flipe dos Santos. But before that, he's got first fight, ground and pound. Second fight, guillotine. Third fight, knockout. Fourth fight, decision. Fifth fight, spinning heel kick and then punches. Sixth fight, decision, and then he gets onto the Contender Series. I like Leonid Kavanagh a lot, man, but I really like Flipe dos Santos, and I feel like Felipe's just got more weapons. He fights more like Charles. This is probably a bit like this is like flyweight Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler, if Michael Chandler was smart and took his time and actually had good, like, fundamentals. You know what I mean? Like, Loney has got, like, that build of Michael Chandler and, like, the size of him, but he fights a bit more like... Who does Leonid Kavanagh fight like? I don't know who to compare him to, but I say Charles Oliveira for Flipe dos Santos, by the way, not because he's, like, a submission specialist. He's got submissions, but he's got that, like, shooter box style of fight. He literally, there you go. Wow, he literally trains at shooter box with Charles Oliveira, so there you fucking go. No wonder he has that style. I think that Leonid Kavanagh is a really hard guy to beat, but I reckon he beats him. I think Flipe Santos... I reckon this goes to a decision. I don't see Leonid getting finished. If he does, that's very impressive from Flipe dos Santos. Very. If someone gets a finish, I think it would be Leonid. I could see Leonid knocking out Flipe dos Santos just kind of out of nowhere, just clipping him with something, and we're like, oh, and he's down. What the fuck? And he goes down, ground and pound, gets it done. But I'm going to say Flipe dos Santos gets this one done by a decision, just kind of keeps the range, does well with Leonid Kavanagh's size, and then just manages to outbox him and outkick him throughout the majority of the fight and gets to a unanimous decision. I think he might win all 3 rounds. I think he could win all 3 rounds. I could definitely see a 29-28 for Flipe dos Santos, but I'm going to go ahead and say he gets a 30-27 over Leonid Kavanagh. Okay, below that, Marcin Tybura versus Mick Parkin. You know, I'd love to fight him. He's from my gym, but I'd love to fight him. That was a terrible Tom Aspinall. Excuse me. Marcin Tybura knocks out... sorry. No. They've got similar names. Sorry. Mick Parkin knocks out Marcin Tybura. I'll say round 2. But I think Mick Parkin's just going to fucking mog him, to be honest. Like, Tybura's not the worst, but he's been knocked out a fair few times. He's been knocked out 5 times in his career. Wow. He got knocked out by Aspinall. The rest of them are pretty early on in his career, you know. Since the Augusto Sakai loss in 2019, he went on a 5-fight win streak. Decision loss to Volkov. 2-fight win streak. Then he gets knocked out by Aspinall. Then he chokes out Taito Ivasa. Yeah, that was sad. And then he gets an armbar loss to Sergey Spivak. And then he gets a doctor stoppage over Jonathan Deniz. And that was insane. Fucking... After that Jonathan Deniz fight, everyone was calling him Marcin Iron Curtain Tybura because he was just fucking laying into the cunt on top of him with elbows, like, mental. But unless Tybura gets Parkin down, which if he does, I could see him just kind of fucking mogging him on the floor pretty badly. I don't know that Mick has the greatest wrestling and grappling off his back and ability to defend takedowns or get up from takedowns. So if he gets taken down, then yeah, but I feel like Mick he probably won't get the first round knockout, but I could see him surviving to the second round. Maybe he even loses that first round to Tybura, but then he gets a knockout over Tybura in the second round. That's what I'm going to say. So Mick Parkin by knockout over Marcin Tybura in round 2. Okay, below that we have Andrey Pulyaev versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Now I know CLD. I have heard of Pulyaev, but I don't know who he is. I apologize. He's only just coming off the Contender Series, so I don't have a lot to go off anyway, even if I had seen his Contender Series fight. I may have seen it, to be fair, don't get me wrong, because I did watch like 90% of last year's Contender Series, but there are still guys that I didn't see, and there are still guys that I saw but don't remember, because it was a while ago, and they all, when they're such new names in the Contender Series, and you know they're either coming into the UFC or they're never being seen again, it's really easy to forget them, so I apologize for that. But I have to go with CLD, to be honest. Let me look at the stats before I say that. He's 27, Andrey Pulyaev, 6'4", And he's got really good reach. He's got 78.5-inch reach. That's good. But Christian Leroy Duncan is 6'2" with 79 inches of reach, and he's 29. They're about the same age, same reach, and only 2 inches height advantage for Pulyaev, and he doesn't have the reach advantage, even with that. So that's pretty impressive. I wonder whether... and they're all knockout wins for Pulyaev as well. He's got some submissions, but they're mainly knockouts. He himself has been knocked out once, and he's got decision losses otherwise. He had a really bad fucking amateur career. Jesus Christ. He went 3-4. He went 3-5 as an amateur. That's kind of crazy. But he's 9-2 now. But CLD is 10-2. And he's only got decision losses. He lost to Armin Petrosian by decision, which is not a great loss to have, but decision is better than having a knockout loss to Petrosian. Petrosian mainly gets decision, so if you got finished by him, I'd be worried. And Gregory Rodriguez is a great loss to have by decision. If you lasted rounds with Gregory Rodriguez and didn't get knocked out, that's hard to do. It's very hard to do. So I have a little bit of faith in him there. He's got 2 wins over Will Curry as well in Cage Warriors. Those are pretty solid, man. Those are pretty solid. And other than those 2 losses, he knocked out Dennis Talulin and finished him on the ground with elbows. And he ground and pounded Claudio Ribeiro as well. So I'm going to go ahead and say that he gets a knockout down and finishes him off with ground and pound over Andrey Pulyaev. I'm going to say it... you know what, actually? Oh, you know what? Christian Leroy Duncan's only got 1 decision win, so yeah. But in the UFC, he's got finishes. Yeah. Yeah, fuck it. I'm going to say Christian Leroy Duncan by round 2. I'm saying a lot of round 2s this video. Round 2 knockout. Probably gets him hurt, maybe knocks him down, and then finishes him on the ground with ground and pound over Andrey Pulyaev. Round 2 knockout for Christian Leroy Duncan. Okay, below that we have the females coming to stink up the night, even though I've literally already spoken about one female fight, but it was a much better female fight, that one. This one is Shauna Bannon versus Puja Tomar. Puja to my mouth. She wants that poo to her mouth because she is from... Not going to say what country she's from, but you get the idea. I'm so sorry. That was really fucking racist, but it's funny. Look, Puja has... she fought in 1 championship, and she did badly, but she fought Stamp Fairtex, man. That's pretty impressive. She got finished in the first round by her, though. Maybe I shouldn't be praising it at all, to be honest, because she lost really fucking early. Then she beat a debutante, 2-1, 6-8, 8-2. Oh, I don't like that. I really don't like that. She's fighting for a title in a regional promotion, and the girl is 6-8 that she's fighting against. She was 6-4 at the time, but still. She got a split decision win in her UFC debut over Ryane Amanda, who was 14-7, who was low-key a baddie, but 5'2", 62 inches of reach. Jesus Christ. That is some WMMA shit right there. And she lost to Talita Alankar as well by split decision also. Yikes. And she lost to Denise Gomez by decision on the Contender Series. Yikes. And she lost to Alexia Thainara, who is fighting in this card as well, by rear naked choke. Yikes. But Puja lost to her. She beat her, in her first UFC fight. Yeah, not the greatest win for Puja. Shauna Bannon, look, came into the UFC, lost to Bruna Brazil. Not the worst loss to have, but not the best. And then she beat Alice Ardeline by split decision. Also not fucking great. Both girls aren't the best, but I'm going to side with the fact that Puja's got a lot of finishes on her record, like by loss, is what I'm saying. She's been KO'd once and submitted 4 times. Never lost when it goes to a decision, to be fair to her, but never made it to long enough in a fight with a good level opponent to get to a decision is probably the better way to word that. Shauna Bannon's got 1 loss, and it was to Bruna Brazil by decision. Everything else she's won. Besides her regional amateur career, she had a decision loss to Dakota Decheva, and she fought 5 3-minute rounds with her. That's pretty impressive. Oh, well, that's actually still 15 minutes, to be fair, so it's not any different, but... Dakota Decheva by decision loss is really good. Let me look at what Dakota Decheva was doing at that point in her regional career as well. That was only her third fight, but she had a KO in her first fight and a decision in her next one. And then after she went pro, referee stoppage, KO, ground and pound, decision, KO, renaked. Yeah, like, God, man. Like, please just get Dakota Ducheva in the UFC at this point, man. Fuck me, dog. 26, 14-0 with fucking one decision win in her career. God. And if you want to include her regional amateur career, 3 decisions, and one of those was Shauna Bannon. So that's pretty impressive, and for that reason, not alone, but among other things. I'm going to say Shauna Bannon gets this one done over Puja Tomar by a decision. Yeah. Shauna Bannon by decision. Okay, below that we have Caolan Loughran versus Nathan Fletcher. I have seen a Nathan Fletcher fight from memory. Maybe I haven't. No, he fought Ramaska on the fight night. Is this the Paris card? Oh no, this is Bones vs Brady. Maybe I saw it, but I don't remember it. I've seen Caolan Loughran fight though twice, I believe. Now I'd like to pick Caolan Loughran. I'm probably going to. Okay. But, dude, you lost to Jake Hadley on short notice, upper weight class. Jake Hadley's a flyweight. He took a fight with you on short notice at bantamweight, and he outstruck you. He didn't even grapple you to that win. He outstruck you. And you're meant to be a striker by the looks of it. You got 5 KOs, 2 submissions, and 2 decisions. And your I keep saying regional, amateur career, all your finishes are by a fucking KO. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of your 8 wins in amateur were by knockout. And they were all they were mostly in rounds 1 and 2. One of them was in round 3. Gonna have to say that, oh man, I don't know though. I think just based on that alone, and Nathan Fletcher did lose to Khan Offley by decision. That's not great either. It was an Ultimate Fighter. Do you have any net regional wins that I can use to back you? Oh, they've fought before. It's a rematch. There we go. That's all I needed to see. I was trying to find an excuse to pick Nathan Fletcher, and do you know what I've just found? In their fucking amateur careers, they fought. And they were 3 3-minute rounds, so there was a short fight. But Nathan Fletcher beat Caolan Loughran by a decision. Really interesting. Really interesting. That's why it's one of the only 2 losses that Loughran had as a amateur, and the other one was also by a decision by Reese McIrwin. I feel like I know this name. Nope, I don't. Never mind. I thought he might have been fighting. No, he fought in Cage Warriors. Lost a lot though. I'm gonna pick Nathan Fletcher. I reckon he's got a lot of finishes on his record. To be fair, Nathan Fletcher's actually got 1, 2. Listen to this record. Nathan Fletcher goes pro. Round 1 submission. Round 2 submission. Round 1 knockout. Round 2 submission. Round 3 submission. Round 1 submission. Then he gets knocked out in the 3rd round. Decision win, first of his career. Round 1 submission. Decision lost to Khan Offley. Round 2 submission after that. And Loughran's losses are all by decision. So that's, it's going to be hard to beat him. But I think Nathan Fletcher, I'm actually going to go ahead and say he might be able to get a submission over him though. I don't know much about Caolan Loughran's grappling and submission defense. But if they went to a decision in their first fight, I'll put it out there in the world that I could see Nathan Fletcher getting a submission over him just because of how many submissions he's got. That's not really a fucking mystical take for me to have. A lot of people are going to say that, I'd say. But I'm probably going to go with the pick of Nathan Fletcher by unanimous decision. The final fight on the card. Now, this is going to be very quick, and I apologize, but I'm picking Guram Kudus against Kue Fernandez. Kue Fernandez is 9-2. He has a knockout win over Muhammad Yahya, which is not the best. Yahya is pretty shit. And he did lose a decision to Mark Diakiese. Not great either. I don't see anyone in his regional career that I recognize. He's fought in a lot of the regional Brazilian promotions. So, not going to know many of those guys. Guram Kudus, though, is a fucking veteran at this point, dude. Comes into the UFC and gets a split decision win over Mateusz Gamrot. Then he loses to Damir Ismagulov by split decision. Then he gets a round 3 knockout over Elvis Brenner. Then he beats... Then he gets knocked out by Elvis Brenner in the 3rd round, is what I meant to say. Then he gets a decision win over Jordan Vucenic. So, it's been an interesting little career here for Guram. Comes in on a fucking high, beating Matoj Gamrot. Split decision, but technically beat him. Gamrot was undefeated at the time as well. And then loses a split decision to Damir Ismagulov, which is not great at all. And then loses by knockout to Elvis Brenner. It's not the worst. And it was late in the fight too, when you've been worn down a lot. I can respect that. And that was a good fight from memory. And then he beats Jordan Vucenic in a close fight, but he did beat him. And Vucenic was up a weight class, short notice, yada yada yada, but he beat him. Now, I don't know anything about Kai Fernandez, and like I just said, he's lost to Marcus Diakiese by a split decision, and he got knocked out in round 1. And then he knocked out Muhammad Yahya in round 1, but it's Muhammad Yahya, so not great. I'm going to go ahead and say that we've got a decision win incoming for Guram Kudrzeledze here. And that is going to be it for this prediction video. Guys, I hope you did enjoy. Be sure to check out the other videos that will be coming. Not really, this is going to be the only video coming, I guess, so don't mind me. But after this event, have a look out for anything that'll be coming, breaking down the event, maybe reactions to fights from this event. But firstly, please join me live for my fight companion of this card. It's very late at night for me. It starts at fucking 4 AM from memory, so I'm going to be up very late. I'm going to have to take a nap to make up for this one, but I'll be there for most of this card. I'm going to say that I'll be there at some point in the prelims. I feel like maybe from Marcin, Tybura, Mick, Parkin onwards. I do want to be here for Flipe de Santos, Lonia, Kavanagh. So by that point, you'll see me here. And then we'll be here for the rest of the card live. So I'd love to have you guys there in my fight companion. Join with me. Come and, be involved in the chat. Get amongst it. It'll be fun to have you guys there interacting with the other couple of blokes that love to recur in my streams for the fight companions. Yeah, man. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I hope these predictions gave you a bit of insight if you're looking to bet on stuff. If you are, please be careful, because like I said, my predictions, I have faith in them. I think they're well researched and they're pretty intelligible, but take it with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of earlier, especially the early prelim fighters, that I'm not that well versed on. So guys, I hope you did enjoy the video. Leave a like, comment, let me know which fight you're most excited for this weekend, and which prediction you think is the most crazy and wild for me to have made, or the prediction that is the safest lock on the card that I've made. If I am to pick one fight that I think is the best lock that I have got out of everyone that I picked tonight, I think I'm going to say Jordan Vucenic over Chris Duncan is probably my biggest lock of the card. Maybe if not that, yeah, no, I'm going to say that, maybe, no, everything else is there's a lot of fights that are pretty close, and I could see either way, but I reckon that Vucenic has definitely got that one over Chris Duncan. That's going to be my lock of the card. So, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you did enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe, the notifications so you don't miss any uploads. You'll be notified 30 minutes before those live streams, as well as when they start. So if you want to be there for those, notifications is the way to go, so that you get notified when they're coming up. I'll see you guys for the stream this weekend. Thank you for being here. I'll see you guys all in the next Mixed Martial Arts video. Goodbye.